Okay, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Nerd Tube. And it's time to talk about Andor. I'm here with Cousin Cheeto and the fucking slag himself. This episode is called The Eye. Also, Lord of the Rings episode 7 was also called The Eye. How ironic. Who knew? And nevertheless, fantastic episode, fellas. Before we start talking about the bits and pieces, Cheeto, what do you think of this episode?
I thought this episode was great. I really this is what I there were so many things in this episode that I just was like, yes, God, yes, this is what I wanted from my Star Wars dark gritty rebellion shit. And I mean, there was just it was dirty, it was not clean, and it was no lightsabers or any bullshit to be seen. Oh, it's so good. All right, anyway, that overall, but yeah, Ginger.
Oh my god, they called it the Nit Tickler. That's what they called this episode. It was that fucking good. I've just completely, exactly that. I am just absolutely in love with this show. It's doing everything right. It's taking its time. The dialogue is just fucking brilliant. Obviously, some of the things that happen in this episode are so good. I love the lack of punch pulling. You know, there was always that worry that they were going to Disneyfy this show, but so far, so good. And yeah, loved it.
Yeah, I also want to say how much I love this episode too. It people were anticipating this episode, and sometimes the anticipation might not be met, but it was met. And yeah, I'm very happy with how this episode went. A couple of twists and turns as well throughout it. So okay, so this episode is called The Eye, and once again, let me know if you want to add anything as I explain some of the scenes within this
Well,
episode.
let's just say hi to Commodore Boone in the comments really quick before we get started.
Oh yes.
He wants that Star Wars. Commodore Boone, yes, is here. Got done early, so to view YouTube, let's go. And I'm driving, but still listening. So we appreciate you being here, Commodore
Boone will be joining us tomorrow for Star Trek Lower Decks. But in this episode, we have the gang having their breakfast before the heist, and Karras is kind of nervous. He's pretty nervous as fuck. Andor tells him he'll be asleep when it's done. Foreshadowing, by the way, I may add, because yes, he does go to sleep by the end of this episode. Now, there's this guy. I forget his name. I'm going to be calling him General Fat. That's his name. Yeah, I think you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. So
General Turkish.
Turkish.
So General Fat basically talks about the Darnies. Now there's this group of people. They're like hermits. They're Nepalese looking, but they kind of act like fucking Hare Krishnas. You know what I mean? That's the only way I could describe them. And they're coming up the hill to see the eye, which is some sort of celestial spectacular. And we obviously see what the eye is a bit later on. So one of the members of the group, Tamarin, he's the guy who used to be a stormtrooper, checks the radio and the broadcast that only they can use because they're obviously going to remove all the comms. And then later on, we see General Fat trying to put his belt on. Obviously, he can't put his belt on because at this particular point in the Empire's sort of timeline, they're kind of apathetic to a degree, like no one's fucking with them. You know what I mean? And hence why they're getting. I think this was like a overall like an image portraying like, okay, they kind of become a bit lazy. No one's fucking with them, hence they're getting fat and stuff like that. You know, so there's no enemy for them to go after. Lieutenant Gorn makes sure his guys, basically the rebel guys, are pretending to be officers as they escort General Fat and his family. The girls who are arriving from a different approach arrive at the base by lake and then hack the base's comms and abseil down to their next position. And General Fat is basically talking to the Darnies and getting translation from Gorn. The Darnie responds to Fat by saying the ghosts have strong hands and memories. But Gorn tells the officer something else, something more welcoming as the response from the Darnies, making the Darnie leader look awkwardly at him like, what the fuck? I didn't say that shit. Did you guys pick up on that?
Yeah.
So we have a comment here from Dave Mattingly. For Capers, this was one of the smoothest I've seen recently. Few casualties, only 2 glitches, radio intercepted, and hostage heart attack. Yeah, because you know, Dave, as we all know, fellas, that you can't have a heist movie without having some fuck ups along the way. and this one obviously had it for sure. We were wondering where it was going to come. So the ambush happens, and as the eye celebration begins, the general is taken to where the credits are, and his wife and children are used as collateral. They will basically die if the general doesn't listen to them. The gang arrives at the credits with a skeleton crew. Sorry, go on.
No, I do want to put in there. It was actually an Imperial officer who was sitting there saying, "Let the kid go." You know, like, so I mean, they kind of do the role reversal there, where it's like it's not clean. Like I understand why they can let the kid go, because the kid would have just said, "Hey, they're holding my dad and my mom hostage," and then would have blown everything. But at the same time, you have an Imperial officer who's like, "Look, let the kid go. We'll go with you," basically. And it's just like, you know, and then he got shot for it. And that's, as I said, that's amazing, because it's just like it.
I get what you're saying.
Dirty, like it's, you know, it's not good guy cookie cutter bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what kind of that little moment itself is what solidified the show for me as well. I know it's only like a throwaway thing, but it's actually huge to say no, they're not going to let the kid go. They're not going to take any risks, and the worst comes to the worst, they might have to shoot the little shit to get the job done for the greater good. That's always the one thing that should always be put in films of this kind of caliber, or things that with stakes are high. There's always the greater good, and they exemplified this very, very well.
I agree, fellas. So the gang arrives where the credits are kept. There's a skeleton crew guarding it. They already obviously knew this. This is why they planned the heist at this particular time, because the rest of the guards and everyone else are all observing the eye. The skeleton crew are then used, at gunpoint to transport the money onto the away ship. Whilst all of this is happening, the Darnies are going full Hare Krishna now, and the eye light show begins. The comms officer figures out some shady shit is going on, and he investigates the storage. Gorn tries to hustle him, saying that they're on an undercover operation. But the comm officer sees General Fat having a heart attack because he's doing more physical work than he's ever done in his entire life, and then a shootout begins. Now, because I watched this episode twice, the first time watching this episode, I didn't notice Gorn getting killed, because they almost don't show it to you, but you do kind of see a little bit of it. If you watch it a second time, you do pick up on it. I was thinking to myself, where the fuck is Gorn? First time watching it, I haven't seen him being shot. Are they leaving him behind? But no, he does get killed.
Yeah, he got killed pretty quickly, and so keep going, Tim. I got something I want to add in, but you haven't reached it yet.
Okay, well, the gang makes their way, but Tamarin and Gorn are killed in the process. The acceleration of the ship causes the accident for Karras, and he gets crushed by credits. The gangs are chased by TIE fighters. They get away using Karras' special navigation unit, and also flying into the eye to destroy the X-Wings. Sorry, the TIE fighters, I apologize. Anything to add so far, Cheetah?
Oh, actually, you kind of blew past it. That's okay. I mean, man, why did the black people have to die first? I mean, come on.
I was hoping you.
I actually watched that sequence a second time, because I watched the first time, like while I was driving, and then from home from work. So then I'm like, all right, when I get home, I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. I have time, so I'll watch the sequence again. And I'm like, these motherfuckers just killed the. I'm like, what? I'm like, come on, guys.
This was to keep the neckbeards happy.
Oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. Ginger, are you?
But if you know I'm skipping,
I was very happy. Them damn nice guys that were killed. Damn it.
No, but
no, I noticed that. I noticed that too. Sorry, Zab. I noticed that too. I was just like, wait a minute. Is this like the kind of signal to say, hey, there is going to be no woke bullshit in this? We're killing the two black guys. I'm like, Jesus Christ, everyone's going to have a field day with this. But the fact, I mean, we don't know that the captain's dead. He got shot, but he got shot high up. So he might be alive, and they might capture him. We know, sadly.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they may, but...
Yeah, we know that the Stormtrooper guy obviously died, but regardless of race and all that, I thought that was quite, like, no punches pulled. People just getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
And the little nerdy kid getting crushed, who I always thought that's going to be the first one to die because he's going to fuck up.
I knew he wasn't
He
going to
was
make
actually
it
more.
somehow, some way.
He was actually
Yeah.
more competent than we gave him credit for because he had, he was very much on the ball on this. Killed by, I mean, he did fuck up earlier when the colonel pointed his gun at him when they ambushed the family, but other than that, he was reasonably competent. Killed by
Yeah,
Luke, what a way to go! Yeah,
and he shot the guy that was choking Andor as well. It was a really good, cool shot.
yeah.
And he navigated them out of the meteor shower.
But
as well.
even though maybe having the two black guys killed off early would have made the neckbeards very happy, they probably got really pissed off by the end when the two lesbians survived.
So it's a balancing act with this show. Okay, I mean.
So that was a teaser to the neckbeards and the fucking geeks and gamers types out there that we're gonna give you the service you want. No, we're not. We're not gonna take it all away from you. You know what I mean? So yeah. So Cynthia, she's the Asian girl of the lesbian duo, leaves the base on her own in an officer's uniform, and I do worry for her because a lot of people have seen her face. I'm not sure she killed everyone in there. I doubt it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to her because she's also stuck on that planet. Does she figure out a way out of that planet? Who knows?
They kind of left it open ended. She wasn't from that planet, was she?
No, none of them were.
None of them were. No.
I thought one of them was from the planet. And they said the stormtroopers had slaughtered their family.
No. What it is that Cynthia's family was slaughtered by stormtroopers, but it wasn't by Tamarin. But Tamarin used to be a stormtrooper, so
that I knew. But I thought for some reason I thought she was from that planet, but maybe not. I thought she was. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so we see the rest of the gang by a rebel doctor who's got 4 arms, which is pretty cool. Who's performing surgery on Karis, and it's by the way,
aliens.
The one fucking alien we got in the show. There was like one in the Senate as well. But we'll get onto that later.
It's actually kind of crazy because like they're on this fucking alien planet. You got all these fucking Hare Krishna and Nepalese looking motherfuckers, and not one of them's an alien either. Everyone's fucking human. It's very I can understand in the Empire to a degree because they've always come across as a bit fascist towards other alien races, which is why the rebels were full of different types of people, whilst the Empire were all humans. But this time around, it's just a bit bizarre. So prior to them going to see the Rebel Doctor, Skeen comes across as quite humanitarian, like he wants to save Karis. But we obviously find out later on why he wants to go to this planet to save Karis. So Skeen makes a proposition to Andor. There's about 80 million in credits. We split it 40 million each. And this is where Skeen kind of shows his true colors, He doesn't care for the cause. He even lied about his brother being a sub-story to Andor. And as Skeen talks further about his plan, Andor kills him, knowing that he can't be trusted and he might be killed too. And it was a great moment because if you're this much of a cunt, this much of a fucking liar, and you're this much of a schemer willing to sell everyone out, then you're going to probably sell me out, which is why you fucking killed him.
That was a beaut. Like when that happened, I about jumped out of my chair because I was like, yes, like. I mean, I'm not saying like Andor's
That's some Han Solo shit.
Huh?
That's some Han Solo shit going on.
It is Han Solo shit, but it's like, it's like no, Andor knew that guy that he cannot be trusted if he's willing to sell out these people that he's been working with for the past couple of months or weeks or whatever it's been. Then Andor can't trust him. What happens when they get to this secluded planet where there's nobody else? And he's going to try to take all of it for all 80 million for himself.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
It was so good when he shot him.
Oh my god, that part again. That was part 2 of just solidifying this as just a massive standout. Again, it's like when I say with Solo, when Solo shot his
Woody Harrelson.
When he shot Woody Harrelson, I thought that was a great moment. And again, you should always just your heroes aren't black and white. It's there's a lot of grey there. And the fact that he shot the guy, and he stuck to his word that we'll get to that bit later. But the fact that he shot that guy for me was just like, I was like, yes, this is just keeps getting better and better.
So Dave Mattingly says the ex-trooper had fallen in love with a native who was killed, which is why he turned. Okay, turn to the light side. So Andor tells Vel that, also known as the Waif, if you watched Game of Thrones, that Skeen is dead and he was a backstabber. The Doctor couldn't save Karras, and so he's now dead as well because he saw him. I believe Karras is dead, but he covered his body.
He was like, "I'm sorry, I did everything I could, yada yada." So I'm assuming it was implied that he was dead.
And Andor basically says he's going to take what he's owed to him, and he leaves basically the majority, if not nearly not all of the credits for Vel and her cause. So that was, it kind of shows that he's he's one of these, like we do get a lot in Star Wars, like people who go by code. I mean, he's a merc or whatever, but he's not necessarily a bad guy. He does have a code. So yeah. So on Coruscant we have emergency meeting. The IBS are all coming together now. That lady who, they're called the IBS, aren't
they? That's irritable bowel syndrome. I don't think they're called the IBS. Are they called the IBS?
I think so.
Okay.
Is it IDS?
IDS. Sorry, my bad.
But I mean, it could be the IBS.
Well, they get a lot of IBS after that heist. That's for sure.
And that actor who plays like the leader of them, the older guy. He's really giving me Peter Cushing vibes, man. He really is. He reminds me so much of Tarkin. It's uncanny. But nevertheless, the lady who was mentioning that there might be a rebel cause of all of this, she must feel quite kind of glum, but she probably can't brag about it too much, or she'll probably get executed. But nevertheless, she was right. They were wrong, and now they're going to probably start taking the rebels seriously. I do feel the next few episodes we're going to be getting our Empire Strikes Back moment of the saga, where the Empire is saying, "All right, these motherfuckers, we're going to stamp them out."
Yep, possibly.
And also, sorry, go on.
Before we go, so back at where Andor and I forget the bird's name,
Vel,
kind of have Bell. Yeah, so they, she also hands him a little book, that little manifesto.
Yeah.
And that's obviously going to play a massive part in kind of, he's going to read it, and it's going to kind of inspire him to kind of help more with the rebellion, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. And that was Karras's manifesto, wasn't it? Like, because he was jotting shit down.
Yeah.
So also we also see Mon Mothma give a speech in the Senate, and you can see the Imperial Senate. It's like it is empty, like you could tell, like the authoritarian regime of the Empire and Palpatine in particular has basically got rid of all these different factions. They're no longer involved anymore. There's only a handful of people. And whilst Mon Mothma was giving a speech, like the people who are there, they're distracted, like something, what the fuck's going on? And then you find out at Luthen's place that there was a heist, and Luthen hears about this heist from one of his customers.
Who's looking on the same pad, by the way. They're all holding the same pad, and I think they did that on purpose so that people know that they're all reading the news. Like it's kind of like your digital newspaper thing.
Yeah.
But Luthen, he's almost can't contain himself because I just need to go at the back and check something, and then he goes in the back and he starts laughing, and he's really happy, but he's also detached from what happened in the heist. He doesn't realize that people died. He wasn't there. He's detached from it, but he is happy that it was a success. A success as a success can be, I guess. I don't know what 80 million can buy you. I'm not sure if 80 million could buy you a whole fucking rebel armada, but maybe it can. But nevertheless, they succeeded. He's happy, and I'm sure he'll be brought back down to earth once he realizes the casualty count and all the people they lost, and the fact that now they're on the run and everyone's after them and all of that sort of shit. You know what I mean? So this is just the next stage, really. And this is what's so fascinating about this episode. As it ends, I just don't know what's going to happen next. I really don't. I'm just guessing regarding the Empire Strikes Back. It feels like it's the right thing, but still, I don't know what's going on. I mean, Andor's going one direction, Vel's going another. Yeah.
Well, and I think you're right. I think it's going to be the Empire Strikes Back. Like they're going to part ways for a couple episodes, and it's going to probably be another 3-episode arc. But at the end of that 3-episode arc, I think that Scars. I can never remember Skarsgård's character's name.
Luthen.
Luthen. I think that Luthen and Andor are going to come back together, and Luthen's going to be like, look, we're making this movement. We need your help. And you're on the run again. So, because I think he's going to get just rumple stomped in the next couple episodes being on the run. And Luthen's going to be like, look, you can join our cause or go with the rebellion. Like, it's basically a parallel of what happened in episode 3. It'll be, come with us, or you can take your luck with the Empire to 200,000 credits. I think he's going to lose the 200,000 credits. I don't think he's going to keep it. I think he's going to lose it.
I don't know about that. I think he won't. I mean, he'll have money or whatever. He's got someone like Luthen to invest it in, but
he has physical credits. He doesn't have so that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking somehow he's going to lose most of those credits or something like that. Like I don't know. It just seems like it would, storytelling wise, I think that's where they would go with it. They'd give him all this money, and then he would just somehow lose it.
Yeah, and don't forget, we're like the next 3 episodes. We might not get much of Andor. We might get, the other guy that kind of failed, who worked for the corporation.
Yeah, we didn't see him at all this episode.
So yeah, we might Cyril. Get him. Cyril, we might get his development happening and all that. Because what you can do in the next episode is you can focus a lot more on the Empire and a lot more on how they kind of maneuver to kind of crush the people, find the people that did this,
which I would love. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, there's plenty there. There's plenty there. Even with Mon Mothma, there's plenty there where you can kind of excuse the focus not being on Andor because you're actually invested and interested in all the cogs in motion. It's not like other shows where you just don't give a shit. You don't want to see flashbacks, or you don't want to see, the other characters that. For example, with Kenobi, you didn't give a shit what was going on with the Inquisitors because they'd already botched that. Whereas here, you're like, I want to know what's going on with the Empire. I want to know what's going to happen with Luthen and Mon Mothma.
And then we'll get a flash forward 10 years later, and we'll see Baby Yoda and Mandalorian, doing a whole episode. It's coming. Yeah, the Baby Yoda Mandalorian episode is coming.
Yeah.
Maybe Andor will lose the credits in a Man Called Jane fashion. That's lost to me. I'm British.
Another one he means, but I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I've never seen it, but I believe that's what you're talking. I believe you. I believe that is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, Cheeto and I, when we reviewed last week's episode, we were wondering who was going to live. Cheeto thought it was going to be one white guy, one woman, and one black guy, and I thought everyone was going to die. Except for Andor, of course, because we know he doesn't. And we were both wrong, but I think maybe Cheetah was more right than I was. So, yeah, I give Cheetah credit. I genuinely thought everyone was going to fucking die. I really did.
We only got left with 3 characters, so that's
I was about to say, I was not too right. I mean, we got what?
Yeah, 4 of them died, so...
I mean, technically, 4 survived the heist. 2 did not survive the aftermath.
Yeah.
And then, now it's down to Andor and what's her face. So, well, no, and the other lady on the planet. So, 3 people.
Yeah,
I keep reading about them
and Vel.
You can go with them.
Sympha and Vel, they're the 2 who survived. And obviously Andor as well. So, but like I said, they're going their separate ways now. So maybe we'll be following them. And I like the fact that we actually got 2 episodes of getting to know these characters. So, when they did die, it had a bit of punch to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, what's Dave saying?
Now I know exactly what Dave is talking about.
Okay. Yeah. That Jane.
Yeah.
One of the greatest characters in sci-fi.
Okay, I didn't watch Firefly.
I don't know about all that.
Oh, Firefly was great.
Oh, of course, like Andor at some point's got to get his robotic mate at some point. You know what I mean?
But he's also supposedly looking for his sister too. Like, what? I don't. I hate to be like this, but I'm like, I don't care about Andor's sister. Like, I
forgot about her.
Yeah, like I'm like that's what he started this whole season with, and I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I don't care about his sister. Like, I guess maybe they can use it as a plot device where the Empire kills her, and then that's where he just tips him over the edge to join the rebellion, like hardcore. But it's just like, at this point, I don't care. Like I want Andor to go, go full rebellion right now. And Ginger's right. I want more Imperial side now. I want 3 episodes where we primarily focus on the Empire, like what they're doing, where they're going. I want to see those in Mon Mothma too, because she's obviously got stuff to do with the Empire. So it's like I want to see those points. This show is just hitting. This is my nerd G spot right here, man. I love.
I would like to see Jimmy. I would like to see Jimmy Smits in this. Jimmy Smits. I think he can.
Yeah, we should. I mean, to be fair, him popping up is not fan service. It's logical. You know what I mean? It's just like because he's very much involved in this. What I'm gonna take a wild guess that by the time this show finishes, not just season 1 but season 2, people are going to be like, no, we want fuck this, we want more, kind of thing. Because if it keeps at this kind of level throughout, then the 2 seasons, and it's kind of funny that they invested to go, what was it, 3 seasons initially, and they kind of trimmed it down to 2. So they knew they had a really good product. They were very confident that they had a good product, which is very telling then of how did they come to that decision, yet think something like Kenobi was also amazing. And yet obviously that's just thankfully a one-off. But, how do you, as the show's getting made and moving along, the producers that have made so much garbage look at this and think, yeah, we want more of this. And it boggles the mind. It does. In a good way. Don't get me wrong. Like, in a good way. Maybe the producers were like, okay, we concede that this is much better than the kiddie shit we've been peddling and that stupid little frog bastard and all this kind of stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that moving forward, even like Mandalorian kind of, gets a bit more. I'm not saying it needs to be all serious, but what I mean is follows a much better path story-wise, rather than jumping all over the place and giving us filler episodes and Dave Filoni's fucking fan service constantly, which irritates the shit out of me. And yeah,
I had a point now. I don't remember.
Sorry,
but no, I agree. Oh no, okay, I do. I mean, but here's the other thing is that I think by the time they realized what was going on with Kenobi and all that and Boba Fett, I think it was too late and things were already in motion and it's not like they could just change it. I think. And maybe they didn't realize it until, like, you're right. Like, we're getting more episodes out of this and but also we can definitely tell the budget's been trimmed down for this because lack of aliens, lack of CGI, you know what I mean? Like, so.
But it works in its favor.
But it does, and you're right. But at the same, I mean, I hope that they learn from this and they're just like, okay, because Obi-Wan, they wanted the name to sell that, and it did. The name sold it. It just didn't deliver.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was talking about it, but it just didn't deliver. I mean, it was still kind of hot garbage. Even when me and Zam watched the movie version of that, with the trim down, it still was pretty much garbage. Yeah. And I mean, I felt bad for Ewan McGregor because now I have a bad taste in my mouth from a character that he portrayed really well. But like with all the garbage that the prequels had, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi was kind of that last thing that, he was supposed to be the chosen one from the prequels. He was supposed to keep away the negative stuff. And now he's become it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Dave basically thinks that we're going to be getting some sort of with CSI and Law and Order Special Weather Unit, that we're going to be getting some investigations and maybe heavily focused on the Empire.
I would not be surprised if Vader doesn't show up because I mean, and it would make sense because I mean Vader might like for this what's going on right now. It's too small for Vader, but towards the end of the series, it depends on how far they scale the rebellion in that time frame. Vader might be like, I'm getting fucking involved, like because I don't.
Well, look, we're gonna see what's his name. Is it Moz or Oz or Boss Guerrero, what the fuck, Forrest Whitaker's character.
Saul Guerrero.
Oh,
So,
Saul
yeah, there we
Guerrero.
go.
Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about him.
I would love to see Ben Mendelsohn in this as well because he wears the same white outfit as the other guys do. So that's a good way of shoehorning him in here because just on the white outfit alone. So yeah, I mean, that would be maybe acceptable fan service, I guess.
But this is it makes sense. Like it makes sense to the story. Like Darth Vader being in Kenobi made perfect sense. Palpatine made perfect sense. Filoni's stuff is the fan service that irritates me because it's constantly from Clone Wars, constantly. Whereas this, it makes sense. It makes perfectly good sense that you're going to see possibly Mendelsohn's character, and you're going to see Vader, and you're going to see Palpatine. And as Jason says, especially towards the end, as the rebellion grows more and more, you'll likely see those characters. But it's a good way of doing it. It's not like you don't want to just turn around and just put them in a scene just for the sake of it, to be like, ooh. At the moment, they're out of the way, and we're focusing on the characters, the small fries that are kind of sowing the seeds of the rebellion, and it's just it's done in such a good way that when eventually you do get that logical fan service or the characters popping up, you're not going to be like, face palming yourself of like, oh, it's just shoehorned in. I hope.
By the way,
anyway.
Ginger, you watched last week's episode, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you notice that Cyril had an American accent?
I know he had an American accent in this one, but in last week, didn't he have a British accent?
No, Cyril wasn't in this week's episode. Cyril, the guy in the uniform who he's living with his mom, eating the blue and brown Cocoa Pops.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I noticed. He always had an American accent, didn't he?
He had a British accent in the earlier episodes, and then when he was
so
with his
maybe
mum,
it's like a facade for the corporation or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting. I'm still interested to see where his character goes. Although he's got his uncle Harlow as well.
Yeah.
And that could be anything. That could be a guy who works for the Empire. That could be a bounty hunter. You know what I mean? It could be a gangster.
I honestly have a theory on that one. I think that it's going to be someone that the lady in the white uniform who was talking about a rebellion last episode. I think it's going to be, Uncle whatever is going to be somebody in her employ. So that's how she and he are going to connect. And then they're both going to like start theory crafting each other. And then they're going to make hot conspiracy babies or something, no, but I mean, I really think that that's where they're leading with this, is that he is somehow going to link up with the lady in the white uniform. And then those two are going to kind of become like a dynamic duo of, these fucking rebels. And then what's his face is going to still have a hard on for Andor. And then they're just, they're going to be the main baddies on the Imperial side. Like they're going to be the focal point going after Andor per se.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, even though I do feel that we've come to a particular bookend with this episode, it's not the bookend for the series. We still got another fucking 6 more fucking episodes to go, and good stuff. That will lead us nicely towards Christmas. So that's gonna be fantastic. Time to rate the episode, boys. Start with you, Cheetah.
10. I gotta go 10.
Wow.
I do. I have to. I was trying to think if there was anything, any little thing that I could have kind of taken away from it that might have put it at a 9. I don't have it. I mean, maybe, I don't know if you guys have anything, but I can't take anything away from this episode at all.
Slag.
10. Yeah, I agree. It was brilliant, and the twists. Like, I could even forgive it for the lack of aliens, because that's always a sticky point with me in the Star Wars universe. But I'm talking purely on story and execution, and everything that happened surpassed expectations. So it's an easy 10.
Okay, I had always in my mind to give it a 9, so I'm sticking with that. That's how I feel about it. But a 9 is also fucking superb. So
not good enough, damn it! Not good enough.
You're out of the group, asshole.
Yeah, so but yeah, excellent episode. Probably this is without doubt the best Star Wars series we've seen so far out of Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett. This is the best one. Uh because
Oh, it's
we're
light
finally
years
getting
ahead.
we're finally getting stuff that is dedicated for, our age group. They're not trying to sell any fucking toys here. I mean, it's just so good. They're using real locations as well.
Yeah,
All of it's the window dressing and all of this, like, world class actors, in there, and without like blowing our own trumpet here, Cheeto. Like, honestly, having a British crew, British film set was the best thing to happen to this fucking show, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because
yeah, which is ironic
oh
because the writers are and director, like the Gilroys, are American, but it still has that essence of Britishness, which it does
yeah.
make a big difference. It really does. I know some people might be like, what does that mean? What I mean is just you can tell in general tone and pacing and take it more serious and all this kind of stuff. It's what you get from, like, in a lot of British TV shows. They'll try to be as logical as they possibly can in trying to deliver a story, and it's very gripping, and it's a it is a breath of fresh air. It just is.
I just want to respond to Dave here. Like he says, I still think, and that's your prerogative. You can obviously think that is still the better show. For the reason why, for me, it isn't. It's simply because of Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is a very popular character, and everyone loves him. He's cutesy and all of that. But we're talking about a bounty hunter here, and then you said it best, Ginger. We have a show about a bounty hunter, but then it ended up being adventures in fucking babysitting.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what takes it away from me from Mandalorian. Don't get me wrong, I do thoroughly enjoy the show. Even though it wasn't everyone's cup of tea in this group, Luke Skywalker showing at the end of season 2. I think I almost fucking came in my fucking pants on that particular occasion. At the time when I was seeing it happen, it was fucking amazing. But I've had the chance to think about it. And obviously, the fan service on that particular occasion was done right, but nevertheless, it is a babysitting show, really. I want to see this fucking Mandalorian do some bounty hunting, catch some bounties, all of that sort of the basic stuff. Even with Book of Boba Fett, when they had a chance to do it with him, they didn't. They turned him into a fucking,
Oh, they
like
botched that show.
the mayor of fucking Mos Eisley. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And gave him a
God, they
character
botched
arc
that
as
so.
well.
And like
Yeah.
I'm one of the biggest critics of Boba Fett, but I wanted to make them make Boba Fett cool, and they fucking shit the bed with that one. Like
Yeah.
after that hot mess, like how can you even argue with me?
Yeah. I mean, also, like, like my thoughts on Mandalorian are,
Okay, no Vance is here.
it's in the middle. It's in the middle of kind of. It's a 5 out of 10 show. Some of the things they do right. Other things, like a lot of the action is poorly executed a lot of the times, as well. It doesn't help, and then the constant fan service, and all these side quests and all this just really
Well,
irritated me, because it takes away from telling. The story should have been about the Mandalorian finding his people. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Simple
and
as.
selling Baby Yoda toys on the way.
And selling Baby Yoda toys in a way. Like, I don't care if they bring the little green shit with him and all of that, but season 3 has to be the lore. It has to delve into the lore. No more sidetrack, no more establishing spin-offs, no more of that. If it doesn't do this, then I will not bother at all with the show anymore.
I want it.
To be
I want it
honest.
mainly set on. I wouldn't want the whole series being set on Mandalore. If they can make it more about him maybe taking up the throne and being the leader of Mandalore, because he's got the dark saber. That'll be and maybe some of the backhandedness, backstabbingness of it
Absolutely.
all.
All of that. Focus on
It
the Mandalorian.
it would be a totally change of direction to the previous 2 seasons, but I doubt that's going to happen, by the way. But that's what I want. Dave says, instead of Harry Krishna, the vibe I got from the locals was all who's in the Whoville.
That's a How the Grinch Stole Christmas reference. I don't.
Oh,
You guys
Oh,
not
I
know the
see.
Grinch?
Yeah, we know about the
Oh,
Grinch.
we
Jim
know.
Carrey played him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
apparently
also,
they're gonna.
every time we talk about the Grinch, I want to point out that the Grinch did not hate Christmas. The Grinch hated the Who's in Whoville. So essentially, the Grinch hated people.
Yeah.
Is that a Dr. Seuss reference?
Yeah, it's Dr. Seuss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it
Okay,
was
yeah.
Dr. Seuss.
Okay, sorry. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and by the way, they're gonna make a Grinch horror movie.
Oh,
That sounds
not
pretty
the
good.
Quadpaw. Quadpaw was a doctor that operated on, you know, the guy that died in Andor.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry at that one, and I
It's a good
enjoyed a
pun.
good fun.
Quadpaw is a
Yeah.
good pun.
Welcome, Daniel. By the way, Cassian shot first. Yes, he did. We did mention earlier. It felt very Han Solo like, and I do like that. You ever seen like in the edited versions of the Cantina bar where he shoots Greedo and his neck goes like this, like he's a fucking Indian. You know what I mean? Like all that sort of shit. Yeah, fucking hell, man. It's so badly done. God
Yeah.
damn it, you. God damn you, George Lucas. God damn you. Daniel. Yes, my own physician is Dr. Two Hands. Yeah. And we have Jim saying hi. So yeah, basically we've almost given this show full marks, and we're going to be back tomorrow talking about Star Trek Lower Decks, and then on Friday we're going to be talking about She-Hulk. One of us three will probably be hosting it because our usual co-host has now left this planet. So yeah, so we'll look forward to that, as well as obviously Rings of Power on Saturday too. And by the way, those last two shows I mentioned are season finales as well. So yeah,
Fuck She-Hulk is over. That's all I can say.
I'm gonna miss it.
I don't think it's that bad. I mean,
For me, like after what they did with Mr. Invincible, I just can't look at it. It's like being cheated on by your partner. You just don't look at it the same anymore.
Okay, well, and I understand that. I mean, it's I understand that mentality.
Mate, they've done Injustice so much. I mean, shit. I would love to see what you look like when you saw Trevor playing the fucking Mandarin, and it ended up being fucking Guy Pearce. I mean, that was probably the biggest, But they redid the Mandarin,
and it still sucked.
And they still botched that up.
And they still botched it up. I think there might have been an EU character among the Pilgrims, an old guy that showed a couple of times wearing a scarf.
Yeah, I'm not like like when they did the whole switch in Iron Man 3, I groaned. I was just like, oh, that's just fucking stupid. But it wasn't like a big moment for me because I'm not like a massive Iron Man fan. Whereas Great Lakes Avengers, I'm always gushing about Great Lakes Avengers, and this was like, for me, if you took like Darth Vader and made him into like fucking Harley Quinn or something, like a jester, like a Joker, like a twat, and you just completely change the character.
I love how you're comparing the Great Lakes Avengers to Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's like just like taking a good character and just making them just destroying everything about them. Turning them into.
I know your love for Great Lakes Avengers. I understand, but it's just like, really.
Yeah,
anyway, Let me read this again. So I think there might have been an EU character, as in European Union. Obviously, doesn't mean that.
Expanded universe.
Yeah. Character among the Pilgrims, an old guy that showed a couple times wearing a scarf. My brain says Dash Rendar, but I know that's not right.
That's too old to play Dash Rendar, though.
Yeah, Dash Rendar
is after Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
So it's too old to be Dash Rendar. Empire hasn't happened yet. Those Pilgrims are going to get slaughtered, by the way.
Yeah, they're all going. That was my first thought too. I was like, oh god. After this, all of them are being.
When the interrogations happen, they're going to think they were colluding, and they're just all going to get wrecked.
Not just the Pilgrims, but I think a lot of the Imperial officers. Like they're all going to.
Oh, we're going to die for their incompetence. Of Imperials coming in, and it's going to be bad. I mean, isn't there a clip where I think there's a Star Destroyer on the what's it called? Al something. I don't remember what it's called, but
Al Jazeera planet. Yeah, the Star Destroyer comes in,
and there's a Star Destroyer coming in the atmosphere. I'm like, oh shit! Like it's bad when the Imperial Star Destroyer is actually coming to the planet. Like that's like Janeway landing on a planet. She's there for her coffee, man, and she ain't taking no for an answer.
That's it.
Would you guys be okay with like another shot at a CGI Tarkin?
Yeah,
I don't
don't
care.
mind.
I mean, Tarkin never hit that well with me. I mean, he was great, but I never really cared that much about him in A New Hope. You know,
Well, it was, it was just there to kind of move the story along. He wasn't like a massive standout, but having him in the prequels is very important, and like because when they did it in Rogue One, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, we knew it didn't look great, but I thought it came out of nowhere. It was a fantastic touch, and I would like to see him pop up in this show.
watching previews is not cheating. Watching previews is my purview. I
I try not to watch them if I don't like watching too many. Like a teaser is good enough. Anything more and it gives the fucking game away. There's fucking too many trailers just ruin too much shit. And so
I agree, but with this, because obviously they'd botched up every other Star Wars property to this point, I just watched every trailer that came out of Andor because I wanted to be sure of it. And yeah, I was just like, okay, I watched like the first 2 episodes to see what kind of we get, and then because like I was about to give up on not on Star Wars. I mean, I have given up on like the larger properties in terms of there's no hope that we're going to get anything as good as this. But I'm hoping that changes for the better. Again, I've already talked about how there's a huge shift happening at Marvel, and I was right. I knew there was delays coming, and we're gonna. I think they're gonna change a lot of stuff, and I'm hoping Star Wars does the same, and the producers just keep out of the fucking way, and just let the directors and the writers do their thing.
especially Taika Waititi and James Gunn. We want them to have free reign.
Oh yeah, can't wait for Waititi's Star Wars. It's gonna be so epic. Yeah,
it's just gonna be a whole movie about droids, like all these like different
droids and Jedi's just making dick jokes with their lightsabers and all this kind of stuff. Your Schwartz is as big as mine. That's what Waititi's gonna be like.
It's gonna be called Star Wars Dick Sabers. That's just gonna be the
Dick
name.
Sabers. Yeah,
Taika Waititi and James Gunn co-directed Dick Sabers.
It's not my worst fucking nightmare.
Fantastic. Okay, so all right, let's wrap this up, fellas. We'll see everyone tomorrow for Lower Decks. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Same time tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.